Hi everybody. So we are going to start adding dimension to our plane and doing some extruding in and out now that we have our basic flow zones set up to model the head. So I'm going to go back to my ortho views here. Zoom in a little bit. And I'm going to make eye sockets and mouth pockets and extrude the nose out a little bit. So let's go ahead and select the eyes. And I can turn symmetry on since I've mirrored, but a lot of times you'll just have to delete the one half of the model and model one side and just constantly mirror again, mirror again, mirror again. And that's because y'all guys know how symmetry works in Maya. It's a little buggy. But we'll turn on Object X. This is one of you can already see why it's so useful to use orthos for character modeling. And we're going to hit extrude, Control E on your keyboard. I always hit W after so I have more control over where it goes. And I'm going to pull that out. I'm going to do about 3 basically edges, so 2 extrusions, because I want there to be a clear ledge where the eye socket begins so I can put in the eyeball. And I want it to be able to span out, so I'll hit Control E again. I could have also hit G for last tool used. We'll extrude this out a little bit. You can see already it's kind of going beyond my face, which is not what I want. On this last extrusion, I'm actually going to hit my circularize button. Many of you know it's one of my favorite tools. You may have to... Oh, not that button. Not that button. Change some of the orientation a little bit. There we go. Yeah, that's not too bad. I'm going to scale those up just a little more and delete those faces. I'm going to scale this up too a little bit so I could easily accommodate the eyeball. Or actually, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to undo that. I'm going to move this a little bit closer to on the eye line. And I'm going to insert an edge loop. But I'm going to make sure that edge flow in my modeling toolkit here is turned on. This will automatically round it out and match the typology when I insert an edge loop. And I should be able to scale it a little bit easier so it's nice and round for when I insert that edge loop. I might try to circularize this one too. That looks great. All right. Now we're going to do the same thing with the mouth. We want a nice solid space for the lips, a ridge for the lips. So I'm going to hit extrude and push that back. Then I'll hit extrude again. Scale it up a little so I have room to insert teeth and a tongue and things like that if that's something, if I'm doing lip syncing or something like that. And I'll hit backspace. So now we have a mouth pocket and eye sockets. Let's go ahead and extrude the nose. So I'm going to select these faces here. And I'm just very gently going to extrude out the nose. I anticipate this nose not being so long because I haven't rounded the face out yet. That is actually what I'm about to do. But we got a nice extrusion for the nose, for the eyes, and for the mouth. Let's go ahead and put eyes in there, or at least one sphere, just so we have something that we can model around. So I'm going to go ahead and create a sphere. Shrink it down. Let's see, eyeballs are not quite that big. It's going to be more something like that. I also like rotating them so the pole is facing outside because it actually kind of looks like an iris, and that helps me with design. Looks like there's some gaps there. We'll pull it in a little more. And by the end, we don't want any clipping and we don't want these big gaps. We are going to make sure that we form our character around that eyeball. All right. So that's looking pretty good. I'm going to start moving verts around. And I'm going to just select individual verts to shape for right now. Later on, we'll start using um, soft selection. And I'm going to toggle a lot between my ortho views trying to figure out, hey, what's this shape? Hey, what's this shape? Like I understand this is the chin, right? And it looks like it's properly set out. This is the ridge of the lips here. So I'm actually going to insert another edge loop to make that nice and cleanly defined. I think when I extruded my nose, I accidentally selected a face I didn't want, so I'm actually going to go back. Yeah, I accidentally extruded the mouth pocket, so that is not something that you want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and re-extrude that out. So the reason I undoed is because I messed up my flow zone here. So make sure you do not do that. So now I can insert my edge loop for the lips. Cool, cool, cool. I'm just going to straight up select this entire face loop here and pull that out to match where the lips are. And it's going to look really, really wonky at first, and that's okay. Can pull this vert out as well. Lining them up with our reference. Okay, let's see what's going on up here. This is the edge, but I actually want this to be forward significantly more. And you can't just count on your reference. You do need understanding of human anatomy. That's a big portion of this class. As said previously, make sure you're having an active study outside of your projects by doing gesture drawing, anatomical drawings, or even sculpts, etc. If you're a character artist, you will be studying anatomy for the rest of your life and need to develop a regular practice. That's actually a pretty good start at rounding. Did I get this all the way around? It looks like I did. Maybe I should pull this back just a little. Because we're going to select this edge loop all the way around the face. Control E and extrude it back. Okay. I may do one more up to where the neck is. Now this long tendril I can just extrude from the top of his head, but I'm not going to be doing that in this series of videos. I just want to get you a base mesh to work with. It will be up to you to go in and refine details and interpret details, because that's one of the things that you're showing me, right? Your understanding of how to interpret the concept art. I want to straighten this up a little bit, so I'm going to scale on the x-axis and rotate it just a tad. That's looking good. And now we're going to make the skull. So there's lots of ways that we could do this. We could totally take a really low poly sphere and just attach it. But I'm going to show you how to extrude it out. But there's lots of ways you can make the rest of the skull. What we want is a nice clean opening for the ear and the neck, so we can make those later. And I'm going to go about 2 edges down here because the ear connects about right here, the eye level. And you can see that here in the concept art as well. You can see I'm kind of selecting right above where the ear starts. And I'm going to hit extrude. And I'm going to start rotating these extrusions. I could even stop here and extrude a nice neck out. Sometimes I'll do one more extrusion. But I mean, I feel like this is really clean, so I'm just going to extrude down to where it's about a nice diagonal with the jaw. Shrink it a little bit, move it over a little bit. And you can see it lines up really cleanly here. I can just bridge those together and leave an opening for the ear. Since I already have an edge here, I really want an edge right here, so I'm just going to go ahead and insert one. So everything's nice and even. And around this neck area, you know, it's a little wonky, right? I'm going to extrude inwards once just to kind of give me some edges to some geometry to work with, because I don't want to just work with what was there and disrupt my overall shape, because it's nice and clean. There we go. And I'm going to actually hit circularize. Scale it up a little bit, maybe pull it down a little bit. Shape accordingly. And since I'm starting to get a lot of vertices, I'm going to use some soft select to help me make some of these changes without drastically changing my shape. B on your keyboard is soft select, and you can see it creates this colorful fallout. If I hold down B and drag with my left mouse button, I can change the radius of where that's being affected. I can also alter options of soft select by going to my tool menu, or tool settings rather, and you can see soft selection is located right here. Sometimes I just want a surface versus the entire 3D volume, etc. So right now I just want to bring this part in a little bit. And now I'm going to decrease that radius. Just do so very slowly and organically. Now this feels entirely too small. Let's scale that out a little bit. This needs to go in a little. Okay, so this is a little bit more oval than I want it, so I'll probably just shape. There we go. But I have the basis of my neck. And what we're going to do from here on out, we're going to block out the other body parts. That means that we're going to have a lot of different objects, and that's okay. We can combine them later. But I'm actually going to stop. I should spend some more time refining the face, obviously. I mean, it wouldn't even go into a Nintendo 64 game right now. But I want to block out the rest of the body, and because the main purpose of this video series and this first week on the project is getting an overall block out and understanding how to do your typology. So now I'm going to make a cylinder. Hi, cylinder. And we have very specific things we're going to do to this cylinder. I'm going to go over to my channel box. I'm going to go to my inputs. And I'm going to set my subdivisions to 16. As long as they're divisible by 4, it's fine, but I can tell you 16 is going to be the easiest to work with considering next steps. I'm also going to turn the caps to 0 and delete them. We're going to use this to help create the pectoral muscle, which basically is like a collar. It's going to wrap around the neck and the shoulders. And this will also give us the typology to extrude our stomach and hips. I'm going to bring this up here. Bring this forward. Let's take a look at my reference here. This is this kind of collarbone slash pectoral muscle that we want. I'm going to make sure symmetry is turned on object X, and it is. And I'm going to grab one of these side edge loops. And you can count 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's nice and half, right? I'm going to rotate this out and up. I'm going to put it right before the shoulders. This should stop where the neck is located. I hit B to turn off soft selection for just a moment. And you notice I'm not going all the way up here yet. We're going to add those shoulders in a little later, but it's still going to be a nice curve. And one of the things we're going to do here is we're going to make sure that there is a nice set of vertices, 4 verts, that go from the back to the front. And you can see it's like 4, 4, and then I got 3 here in the front, and I got 3 here in the back. And we're going to, oh, I should have, I got into auto mode. I should have explained what I was doing there. So basically you'll have 2 edges where you have that nice 4 sets of verts. And of course, double check that your verts are even in the back and the front. That's why it's better to work with a cylinder that's 16, has 16 subdivisions rather than 20. And we're going to select those edges and bridge them across. Well, now I have an issue. I got a triangle. So I'm going to come over here and insert an edge loop. And simply move that down, trying to get something that resembles a square as close as possible. I'm actually going to move this with soft select because this is what I'm going to extrude my arm out of. So I want it a little bit closer to where the armhole is going to be. So here's I think is a really cool thing you can do. Since I want this to be a nice clean square, well, a square can fit inside a circle beautifully. If I want it to be nice and even, I can actually use circulars to help me make that square. And you can see it works pretty darn good. That's a great pectoral muscle. I'm really pleased with that. It's a little too round here. It should be flatter up at the front. So I may adjust that real fast. Basically, I'm going to move these a little further forward. Don't want to mess with that. I'm really happy with that armhole. So I think these are the ones that need to really come forward. Oh, that's part of the problem right there. This should be like way up here. These should be further back. I'm trying not to waste too much time refining on camera. But sometimes I do things like that. And again, that's when orthographic views really come in handy. We're going to just push this back a little bit since it should be a little flatter in the front. We can always reshape when we have more geometry. but I don't want to, I know it's incorrect, so I gotta fix it. Okay, that's something I can work with. It's a little small. You can see that like the pectoral muscles all out here, but I just need a little bit more geometry to get it right. So I'm actually going to go ahead and start extruding the rest of my model here. And I have a lovely shape to extrude out. The rib cage, the belly, and the starts of the hips. So I'm going to hit Control E and start making those forms. I can hit G instead now since that's the last tool used. Shaping my forms. And I'm going to take it all the way down to the end of my pubic bone, a little bit above the hips because we will use this to help extrude the legs. All right. I'll just make this a little larger, bring it forward. That's looking good. So at the bottom of the pubic bone here, I'm going to find the two edges in the center of the body, and I'm going to bridge those together. Then I'm going to insert an edge loop so I can round that shape out. You can see I have edge flow turned on for multi-cut, so it already started it rounding it out for me, and we're going to take advantage of edge flow a lot when box modeling. Bring it down, shrink it a little bit. And I'm going to extrude my legs out from these holes. They don't have to be perfect circles yet, but we are going to use circulize in a moment. So you can kind of see I'm going a little bit towards the side view more than my front view, so I'm going to kind of adjust that a little. Okay. So now I'm going to make a small extrusion just to kind of pull out the hips, the thighs a little bit. So that way I have a nice hip structure. And once I have that initial, like just small extrusion, I can use my circularize key to make extruding a little bit easier, making sure things stay rounded out. And you can see my symmetry broke, and that's going to happen a lot. So I'm just going to go ahead, go to face mode, select the left half of my model with symmetry turned off, and I'm going to hit delete. All right. So now I can go back to my ortho views and start extruding out the legs. And again, your keyboard shortcut is Control E, and then it's G for last tool used. So knees are some of the most important typology in your whole model. And we're going to make sure we have at least 3 edge loops to work with here. Do that for each joint because the following week on this project, the final week, we're going to talk about joint typology and a little bit of optimization, controlling your edge flow beyond what we're doing this week. This is a 2-week project. We're getting to the ankle now, so I'm going to do at least 3 edge loops there. And then I'm going to extrude down to the floor. Make that flat. This is going to be where I extrude out my foot. So I'm going to turn around and select these front faces here. We'll worry about fixing up the bottom later. Shrink that a little bit. Well, actually, yeah. We'll keep that solid. Extrude. And we're going to just go one more knuckle, but we're going to make the toes of this separate. Now, if for your, like, if I was making a character with shoes, I would just go ahead and extrude out and just let the shoes be part of the body. But since this character has very distinct toes, I'm going to stop before the base of the toe. Okay. Cool beans. So let's go ahead and go do the same thing with the arms now. Just extrude out. We're going to scale that up for the shoulder. Move this vertice right here up for the shoulder. There we go. One thing we'll want to do later is make sure our armpit is nice and defined. I'm going to hit Control E. G. And it's okay to make it a little bit thicker for now, just because we have such little geometry, it's hard to kind of maintain the shape if you don't make it a little bit thicker. At this elbow, we're going to make sure we have nice 3 edge loops that we can use to create certain kinds of geometry later. And of course, as we get to the wrist, we're going to want some additional geometry. I'm just going to leave it alone for now because hands are like their own thing, and I can add those 3 edge loops that I need later. That, my friends, is a pretty basic block out. Let's go ahead and mirror it. Oop, we got a little merging there. All we have to do is change this merge threshold to 0.1. There we go. Everything looks good. And now I would go in and make a pass of further refining the face, maybe extruding out some tendrils, etc. But again, I'm not going to show you how to model this exactly. I'm just giving you the basics to get started. Um, we are going to have another video on how to do hands and fingers and toes next.